So I'll now hand the conversation formally to Nadia to take charge of the conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy our next panel.
Thank you very much, Terence. Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon to everyone here. I hope everyone had a good break. There were some sessions that were conducted before. And for this panel session, it's titled Southeast Asia's Next Big Fintech Export, Islamic Finance. My name is Nadia Azmi, your moderator, and let me introduce to you the lineup of panelists that we have. On my immediate left is Junaid Wahedna, who is the chairman of Wahid. Wahid Invest is a Sharia-compliant robo-advisory investment platform for halal investing. The company is based in New York with 2,000 clients all over in the US and UK, and you are expanding as well. It has been positioned as a leading force in halal investing with a strategic focus on global growth and accessibility. So welcome, Wahid. Welcome to KL again.
Thank you,
as
Nadia.
well. All right, nice to have you. And next to Junaid is Dr. Jasmine Begum, who currently leads Microsoft's corporate external and legal affairs for ASEAN here in Kuala Lumpur. Her expertise ranges from legal, policy, regulatory to communications. And in 2021, she established the APAC Leaders Digital Alliance for the public sector, creating a platform for government agencies, ICT leaders, and industry ecosystem to learn and share towards the national digital transformation agenda. Welcome, Dr. Jasmine. Welcome for today's session. And on her left is Dima Djani, who is the group CEO of Hijra, a leading Islamic challenger bank based in Indonesia. The bank provides Sharia-compliant fintech solutions to over 2 million Muslims worldwide. Dima's experiences cut across different industries, including energy, mining, infrastructure, and telecommunications. And Alami is a Sharia-compliant financial platform, which is the brainchild of this executive MBA holder. So welcome,
Thank
Dima.
you.
And you flew here all the way from Indonesia, so welcome to KL. I'm sure you've been here many times as well, so welcome. And on the far left is Encik Adnan Zaylani, who is currently the Assistant Governor of Bank Negara Malaysia, or the Central Bank of Malaysia. He oversees Islamic banking and takaful, financial development and innovation, insurance development and development finance and inclusion. He is also a board member of QUAP and INSIAF. Welcome, Mr. Adnan. Ladies and gentlemen, just give a round of applause for our panelists here today. So now, before we start with the questions, just a little bit of data that I'd like to share with the audience that we have here today. The Islamic finance industry has been expanding rapidly over the past decade. It has been growing 10 to 12% annually. And today, Sharia-compliant financial assets are estimated roughly at $2 trillion US, covering bank and non-bank financial institutions, capital markets, money markets, and insurance. And right here in Malaysia, we are currently the third largest Islamic finance market after Iran and Saudi Arabia. Now, in most cases, we see financial models originate and are popularized from the Western world and then are adopted by other countries like Malaysia itself. But with Islamic finance, it has been a homegrown pride built right here in this region. So my first question is for the whole panel. I want to start with Mr. Adnan. Mr. Adnan, what's so special about Islamic fintech? And what is its potential? Adnan.
Thank you. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you. Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum and Selamat Hari Raya as well. Thank you for having me on this panel today. If we look at global finance industry as a whole, we are projected to hit 6.7 trillion in 2027. There are about 60 countries that have Islamic finance regulations, and Malaysia is one of them. There are new markets emerging. Almost every now and then, there are new markets in Asia and Africa exploring about introducing Islamic financial services. So what is special about Islamic finance? I would say three things. First, it's choice. For us, we have at our fingertips available, we can access financial services either conventional or Islamic. And for many of us, the Muslim population, having access to Islamic financial services gives us a completeness and gives us a sense that we are able to do more, live our day-to-day lives with more conformity towards what is Islamic norms. And the next one is inclusion, because it is kind of agnostic as well. both Muslims and non-Muslims can equally access Islamic financial services competitively. The range of products today for Islamic financial services covers almost anything that can be covered by conventional services. And the third thing is that I think Islamic finance today also seeks to really deliver, not just meeting our needs, but also making a difference. And this making a difference we can see in terms of how Islamic financial services reaches out, enhancing financial inclusion, enhancing or making available products for in the space of social finance, and really uplifting communities and making a real difference, including in areas of climate and ESG in general. Thank you. So that's the potential is vast because this is one area of growth, and I think Nadia mentioned it. Islamic finance, both in terms of banking, in terms of takaful, capital market services, all are growing at double digits, at higher rates than the conventional space. I think this is where we have a lot of untapped and continued opportunities. Thanks.
We'll discuss more about that later on as well, Mr. Adnan. I'd like to go to Dima now. Dima, why did you choose Islamic finance? What is the potential that you see in this industry?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I think first I would like to appreciate the Malaysian government. I think for this event, I've been to different big tech startups all around the world, also in the Muslim world, and I think the topic of Islamic finance was like highlighted in Malaysia, and the other one is in Qatar. And especially, I think the Prime Minister spoke about Islamic finance like maybe more than 2 times, 3 times, and the other ministers as well on the stage, which is, for me as the players, quite, you know, it's a big deal. So I'm sure like everybody here also would very much appreciative on these things, and yeah, very keen to obviously explore the market. I think for me personally, why Islamic finance? I think 2 reasons. First, as a Muslim, I'm sure like this is aligned with our values. I always an altruist. I wanted to do the dunya and akhirah in the same way, although like we're as human, we sense a lot, at least things that I do day in, day out will hopefully contribute to my akhirah as well and my dunya, inshallah. So that's the first reason. And second reason is looking at the market. This is something that hasn't been, I was saying previously, looked intensely or developed and I would say at par with the conventional financial world. And now there's a wave of tech, you know, all the fintech wave and all of these things. I guess this is like a second chance for the industry to have a level playing field with the conventional finance. So that's why I immediately jumped ship back in 2018 and 19 into this space. And I think aligned with Adnan said, that I think between the conventional and Islamic, right, I see that this is also a noble cause in a way that when you look at the conventional system, is mostly the framework is about profit maximization, although it's alleviating poverty and all of these things, but then the basic pretense is the economics, like profit maximization for some of the key players. But on Islamic, since we're following the Maqasid Sharia, so I think there's a great push as well to lift up everybody in an equal manner. So in addition to commercial activities, we are also looking at the social finance as well. That's why I think by increasing the share of Islamic finance in a country, then automatically it will alleviate like some of the poverties through the social finance elements and all of these things. And with technology, I think the potential is immense, and a lot of impact fund out there that's talking to us and invested to us was pretty surprised, because when I need to sign side letters on the impact and ESG and all of these things, I just looked at once and everything is kind of like in line with the Islamic principles. So I just checked, and they were like, you're like the first startup that just read once and doesn't negotiate anything. Yeah, because it's in line with our belief as well as a system. So I feel like there's a tremendous opportunity, and as you said, homegrown here in ASEAN and push it like outwards. It could be a very prime example of an ASEAN play, whether it's Malaysia or Indonesia or Brunei.
Thank you, Dima. I think some of the key words that we've been hearing is inclusion and also equal. I think Islamic finance has that potential of serving the unserved or the underserved. That's what we will explore more in our conversations today. Thank you, Dima. Dr. Jasmine, what about you? How do you view Islamic finance today?
While I would like to build on what Deputy Governor Adnan said and what Mr. Dima said, I think as a Sharia graduate and an LLB, so I did graduate with both an LLB and LLB Sharia from International Islamic University, so trained in this. So I would like to sort of take the perspective of the Islamic digital economy. I think the numbers that were shared on banking is interesting, but the Islamic digital economy is set to contribute 7.7 trillion to Southeast Asia by 2030, and that's ours to take, right? And the role of the Islamic finance, whether it's Fintech or Islamic financial solutions, the underlying foundation, the universal values that addresses equity and being equitable are universal. And to me, that is the non-negotiable. And you know, the underlying foundation is quite easy. The entry point is equity and inclusion. And therefore, to me, especially when it can play an important role in building out the Islamic digital economy that did not start in the valley, interestingly. And I must say, while technology is seen to, you know, always emerge from the valley, in the case of Islamic finance, in the case of startups, whether Bapak President Jokowi's vision of startup nation, you know, with the Gojeks, and for us as well, I think the role of Islamic finance can spearhead and, in fact, make a difference in accelerating some of the setbacks we have had due to COVID. And I think for us to see Islamic finance as a standalone and not in the overall context of the Islamic digital economy would be remiss, and I would like to address that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jasmine. Thank you. And Junaid, what about you?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. From our side, you know, I think I want to take a step back and talk about, like, what is Islamic finance? Why are we even doing it in the first place? And so in our religion as Muslims, you know, there's a sin known as riba, right? Riba is one of the greatest sins in our religion, but unfortunately, because of the way, you know, Western financial systems had really pushed out into the world, our infrastructure is built around lending, around banks, right? Lending institutions. So our job with Islamic finance is to try and completely eradicate our exposure to riba in every way, shape, or form. And unfortunately, because as you can imagine, you know, the money lending institutions are very strong, very powerful, very rich, it's normalized. Right, so alcohol is bad, you know, pork is bad, everything's bad, but banks exist. Banks are cool. No one has an issue with a bank. But it's a way worse sin, Islamically speaking, than any of those. It's a major sin. So our job as Islamic finance practitioners is to try and create products to minimize exposure to riba in our day-to-day lives. And honestly, very selfishly speaking, I'm still trying to get my exposure down to zero. That's how hard it is. It's almost impossible to do. Now, Malaysia is uniquely placed, always has been, to be spearheading this, let's call it, fight against riba. Right? It is, I mean, even in our religion, it's written as a war. It's the only sin where it says, you know, you're at a war with God. It's a very dangerous sin. So for us, we continue to create products. We created an investment product, alhamdulillah, super successful. So in Malaysia alone, we serve over 300,000 people, right? So, and focused on the Malay population, focused on the youth. So most of our clients are under 30. And, you know, B40, M40, it's really that inclusion element. And what this does is this allows people to be productive with their money and actually gain value over time versus keeping it in your bank account, which creates inequality, right? An economic effect, lending institutions for profit create inequality. The rich borrow cheaper, the poor borrow poorer, credit cards and so on and so forth, and inequality is created. Now, Malaysia is doing very well, amazing middle class, amazing in all, metrics, but when it comes to inequality, every single year it gets worse. The Gini coefficient keeps getting worse, right? And why is inequality increasing? It's because we are not being as equitable as we should be. It is possible, but lending institutions need to have an alternative because the majority population don't want, it's not like people actually like banks, right? It's just one of those things. But we need to create genuine alternatives to try and minimize our exposure to riba. And I think that's what Islamic finance, for me, is all about. So ESG is great, right? Even in our religion, you should plant trees, you should be good to the environment, good to people, so on and so forth. But if we're still dealing in riba, that's a very, very secondary, like way lower on the priority list, because there's like haram, halal, and then there's like good to haves, right? And we're still all exposed to riba. So at least the way we see it, we have a single North Star in Islamic finance, and that is minimizing everyone's exposure to riba globally, inshallah. So we have 10 country licenses, but we have a list of 50 countries where we're going to go all the way.
So this was your vision after spending 10 years in Wall Street banking, and you went into Islamic finance?
So I, I've been all over India. I grew up in the Middle East, and I went to New York to do my master's in engineering at Columbia, and did all this finance stuff and joined a merchant bank. And I was there for a few years, not 10, I'm not that old, and set up Wahed while I was there. With this global mandate to go and solve this riba problem. Because with all due respect to, even Islamic banks, amazing people, amazing intentions, but we do feel there's other possible solutions. You don't always have to approach it from lending. You can approach it from equity, and we're approaching it from the side of investments. We can make investment portfolios so efficient, so liquid, that it is nonsensical to keep your money with a lending institution. And that's what rich people do. If you look at anyone with over $10 million, their money's at JP Morgan, Goldman, wherever, in assets. They've got real estate, they've got equities, they've got commodities. No one's keeping their money in the bank. So the common man keeps their money in the bank, and they're using our money to create inequality in society. And that's a terrible thing.
Junaid, you mentioned that you have presence in 10 countries, all over 10 countries. And we heard from Mr. Adnan just now that the inclusion part, where not just Muslims can enjoy the products in Islamic finance, but also non-Muslims can also use the products available. So when you were expanding to these global markets, I think this is my question for Dima and also Junaid, what were the challenges that you had to face? You serve over 300,000 Muslims in Malaysia, but of course you want to expand beyond that as well, to non-Muslims as well. Are there challenges that you need to face in terms of the demographics?
If you don't mind, Dima, I'll start.
I'll give the Junaid.
So, our products, for example, we have a fund listed on the NASDAQ, an exchange-traded fund. It was the first Sharia-compliant fund in the US. We have consistently outperformed the conventional index in terms of performance. So the days of saying, oh, Sharia compliance, so it's more expensive, it's worse performing, they are gone. They are ridiculous excuses, and they make no theoretical sense. We have shown now consistently, and I'm talking for now over 5 years of performance, we have outperformed the index, right? So
congratulations.
Thank you. And so for conventional players, we absolutely see them investing in our products. And it may be for the ethical element, it may be for the performance. But for us, our job is to create products so pure that our ethics as Muslims should prevail, and even non-Muslims should absolutely see the benefit in having these ethics as part of their life. And keep in mind, the riba problem is not a Muslim problem. It's an Abrahamic faith problem, right? In every single Abrahamic faith, interest has been expressly forbidden, every single one of them. Right, so we have Christian clients, pastors. We have Jewish clients in America. There's a lot of people in the world who want to keep their money away from interest, who don't want to contribute to inequality creation. And I think we're absolutely open for anyone and everyone. Yeah.
Dima.
Yeah. So I think before that, I'll just explain a little bit about our business model, because it gets quite complicated. So we have peer-to-peer. Sharia-compliant lending platform, and also we have an Islamic banking platform that we turn into a digital platform in Indonesia. So let's say from the peer-to-peer standpoint, our customers are two, right? There's funders and there's the borrowers, which is mostly our SMEs, and the funders can be institutions and also can be individuals. So when it comes to, again, international expansion, I think we're a little bit more heavy compared to maybe Wahed because of the licensings when it comes to banks or like P2P is typically country by country is more rigid. So I think our go-to strategy for international expansion in the future, inshallah, would be through partnership with strong and aligned when it comes to vision and values of those local partners. So we're in discussion with several countries. Malaysia is one of them, obviously, and we're looking at Saudi, Qatar, and also Turkey. Basically, those population that actually looking for a more competitive Islamic banks. In terms of competitiveness, I think what we see is that on our peer-to-peer platform, for example, we came late, right? So Indonesia's peer-to-peer industry took off in 2016. We're only entering the game in 2019. But alhamdulillah, the traction has been phenomenal. And it becomes a very also competitive in a way that competitiveness has been looking from two things, right? One is from the funders and one is from the borrowers, or what we call beneficiary. So from beneficiary perspective, actually our pricing is relatively lower than a lot of other conventional P2Ps. First, and then second, given the structure, the akad, like we don't charge any like penalty or late payment fees and all of these things. So in a way, it's very competitive and we have a lot of repeat customers or beneficiaries. Now, the question then on the funding side, then retails would be felt less competitive because they're getting lower return on their investment compared to the conventional P2Ps. But for us, we'd like to grow our business prudently according to our values as well. So ended up the value for money, the risk-adjusted returns is actually higher because in other P2Ps, although the return is higher, the default rate is also higher. So some of them actually don't get their money back. And in Indonesia, the peer-to-peer industry is having a little bit of problem because of that. But alhamdulillah, for us, our funders still trust us and they're relatively well when it comes to our delinquency. So they're still getting like value for their investment through our platform. So yeah, alhamdulillah, as Junaid said as well, I think it's a collaborative action to fight against riba in the system, and it needs to go from multiple angles, be it from banking, for investment platform, fintech, and all of these things. So I think our effort is to tackle through things that is quite relevant in our market in Indonesia for now, through P2P and now on the digital banking side.
Thank you, Dima. My next question is for Dr. Jasmine. Dr. Jasmine, although we're talking about Southeast Asia right now, we can't deny, of course, Islamic banking can be traced back to the Middle East countries in Egypt, for instance. How can we work together, the nations in this region, in SEA, work with countries in the Middle East to become the backbone for the growth of Islamic finance or Islamic fintech?
Thank you. I think it's a pertinent question for many reasons, but particularly as an important component of the halal supply chain, right? Malaysia has led this path, and I think, again, coming back to the fact that within the overarching Islamic digital ecosystem, Malaysia's always had the ambition of being an Islamic financial capital. And it continues to be one that we thrive towards. But I think the differentiating factor now is the fact that Islamic fintech has really taken and accelerated that inclusion component of it. How do we do that? I think there are three things that we need. And the last one is age-old debate of talent. So I'm not going to address the talent part first, but I would like to talk about the fact that we need agile policies. The challenge remains with policymakers who are from the analog world, who are trying to force feed some of these digital policies into the analog policy world. What we need is organic digital policies, Islamic digital policies that will be agile, and master plans, with all due respect to the policymakers in the room, because technology is moving so fast, policies that are made for 5 years and 10-year master plans will not be able to catch up. We need agile policy mechanism that will allow for innovation and not impede it. At the same time, we also want to underpin with ethics. We talk about ethics as if it's something new. If we think about Al-Amin and As-Siddiq that we refer to the Prophet ﷺ, and how it is integral to the entire business, doing business. So I think we have an opportunity now more than ever to spearhead not only in the financial ecosystem, but the overall halal supply chain and the digital, Islamic digital economy. With that as the background, I do want to highlight, while policy is something we really need to look at in a really intense way and look at this in a way that it has to be agile policy making. The second part to this, and I talked about talent, and talent remains a challenge, where we want to be able to ensure that we have the right talent who are able to also feed the demand of the economy. So while we think about this, again, we need an education system, again, an age-old debate, not that something that we can resolve, but the ability to be able to make sure that people are skilled up, cross-skilled in some of these emerging areas is going to be critical. Thank you.
Very interesting. Thank you, Dr. Jasmine. Now that you brought up policies, I have to go into regulation. So my next question, of course, is for Mr. Adnan. Mr. Adnan, regulatory frameworks are key in supporting innovation and also fintech innovation. How can that play a part in allowing Islamic fintech to mature and flourish in a robust environment?
Thank you, thank you. But I should remind you that, of course, regulation is also there to protect consumers and to protect businesses as well. So besides that we want regulation to facilitate innovation, to facilitate adoption of new technology, we also have to bear in mind that there are trade-offs, there are risks that need to be managed. And I think this is our overall approach. We want to be agile, and I hope as a regulator we are, and that we are able to meet expectations of the industry as well as the consumers at large. When we look at so that's our starting point of regulation as a whole. We're trying to trade off between promoting innovation development, at the same time ensuring that risks are managed and are mitigated as well. For Islamic fintech, we are really looking at a couple of things that we have already outlined in our financial sector blueprint. So one is that we are looking to try and intensify some of this facilitation. So we have already revised our regulatory sandbox. There is now green lane approval processes. There's simplified eligibility assessments as well. We've also, I think I should mention that we've also launched digital banks, and right now we're in the process of finalizing the framework for digital insurance and takaful. So that should be out sometime in the middle of the year. And I think when we look at regulation as a whole, this is where we're trying to balance. But at the same time, sometimes we also include some other objectives in our policy development framework, which is, I think, pertinent right now is financial inclusion. So digitalization can really, and Islamic fintech can really be, can really accelerate financial inclusion. And that's our view, and that is what we have built into the digital bank framework, as well as a digital takaful framework. And speaking of which, we mentioned a lot about how, for example, just now Dr. Jasmine mentioned, some of the institutions, they may have existing incumbent institutions, they may have existing legacy systems which they tie them down to their existing business models. I think we recognize that. We also push the existing incumbents to encourage digitalization as well. But at the same time, we're allowing new models to come in where they can start from scratch. They can start afresh. The digital banks and the digital insurance and takaful operators. Thank you.
Dr. Jasmine, would you like to add?
Yeah, I would like to add. I must recognize, having worked with the regulators across the region, whether it's Bank Negara, MAS, whether it is in Indonesia, what is clear is the regulators are keen in most instances, they want to drive. But I think Deputy Governor Adnan raised a valid point about ensuring protection and guardrails. And guardrails are critical. As I talked about technology and how fast it is, again, we are now seeing artificial intelligence and the use of artificial intelligence in financial services. The guardrails become critical. Sometimes it is the banking institutions that also tend to be a bit more tentative or not sure how to look at compliance. So one of the biggest opportunities we have seen is new jobs being created in compliance and ethics. So definitely, again, it goes back to that agility and the willingness to adapt, but also looking at how do we now look at these new jobs that are being created, that are emerging. So it's a balance, and I totally agree, guardrails are critical, and responsible banking is what Islamic banking is all about. So I do think there's so much we could share. While ESG seemed to be something that is new, but it's embedded in the Quran for more than 1,400 years. So I do think we have an opportunity to share some of those universal values and sort of become those advocates, because at the end of the day, it comes back to one, and I would like to reiterate, inclusion and equity, and that's what we stand for. Thank you.
Now, according to Moody's, the growth of Islamic banks in Malaysia has outpaced its conventional peers, now accounting for 40% of the total financing in Malaysia. So I want to talk about or elaborate what Mr. Adnan brought up, which is digital banking. BNM, Bank Negara Malaysia, has awarded 5 digital banking licenses, and out of these 5, 2 are for Islamic digital banks. So, Mr. Adnan, what will this mean to Islamic fintech, especially right here in Malaysia?
Thank you. Of course, we have an overall framework where existing banks can collaborate with Islamic fintech already. And when we set up digital banks, it follows the same route. I think Islamic fintech has a lot more opportunity to complement the financial sector. So the digital banks, of course, their model has to be all about digitalization. We allow very minimal, the aim is to allow only very minimal, I suppose, non-digital operations. It will be, the expectation is that it will be primarily digital. So Islamic fintech has a lot to offer in this, to complement the operations and to complement the digital banks. I think in terms of the support services that are there, but not just them, but also the existing incumbents. And among some of the incumbent banks, some have also taken this route whereby they set up their own business units that are fully digitalized as well. So this is something which is intensifying. I think the opportunity for Islamic fintech is for the financial services is expanding, including in I should mention the takaful and insurance segment. I think one of the things that we are pushing for, or we have rolled out, is enhanced services for insurance companies, for example, that in the claims process they have to digitalize even in terms of accessing tow trucks. For example, if you end up in an accident, you can actually quickly access tow truck services from an app. So this is a must that has to be offered by insurance and takaful operators. So there are many areas where I think Islamic fintech can really offer services that compete as well as collaborate with the digital banks as well as the incumbent financial institutions.
While we're talking about digital banks, my next question is for Dima. You have your Hijra bank, which is fully online, right? Fully digital.
Yes.
So how has the adoption rate been? We talk about inclusion, where we have more people to be able to use these products and services. Have the people in Indonesia been very accepting and receptive of what you are offering? Are they able to, we also need to think about digital literacy. Are they able to use technology in the first place? So how has it been?
Yeah, I think considering last year's like winter for most startups, I think we've been growing quite phenomenal, mostly like organic. So since we launched like sometimes early last year, we've grown to like 200,000 bank accounts with the market of about 15 million in just Greater Jakarta area. So yeah, a lot of good feedbacks. I think our ratings in the Play Store and App Store is about 4.7, 5.5, something like that. So Alhamdulillah, the market is actually waiting for a good Islamic bank, whether it's a digital or a conventional, because the existing ones, you know, that's a bit clunky. So there's a lot of opportunities for Islamic bank in Indonesia in particular. But however, I think executing a digital bank, setting up from the scratch and actually launch it is not that easy. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, because obviously like when we launch a bank, you want to make sure that the service can, you know, delivered well, the security and the compliance and all of these things is in line. So in Indonesia, a lot of the digital banking are focusing on the liability side, whether it's savings, time deposits, and all of those things. But more often on the financing side, it's still manual, right? So, but then as we know, the era of cheap money is kind of over right now. So you can't really raise funding on digital banks just based on your number of depositors and all of these things. Now, when you look at profitability and we need to push on revenue, and banks' revenue mostly coming from lending and in the future maybe fee-based income, right? So I think the industry, especially in Indonesia, is kind of stuck where they've developed all the liability side, but on the asset side, it's still pretty low and shallow. So I think they're like trying to catch up with that. So I guess this is something also important for us. Alhamdulillah, we're coming from lending platform, so it's easier for us on the lending side as we build on the liability side. And second, obviously, this is a highly regulated industry. So for example, more people are actually pleased with our service, but they're asking where's the QR payment capability. And you know, like when you work on e-commerce and all, you just do a product discovery development and voila, you can launch it. But then in banking, like you need to go in Indonesia to OJK, and then because it's monetary, go to BI and all of these things. So it can take up 6 to 9 months just to add like one features and all of these things. So I guess this is also the challenge for digital banking players on adjusting, accommodating to the legal environment, but at the same time, it also poses a barriers to entry for those who actually can execute banking, because at the end of the day, during the high tide, everybody, every investor would say, go buy a bank, you know, go buy a multi-finance and all of these things. But now people know that there's just not many people that can actually execute a digital bank, right? So I guess this is a lot of lessons for us, the practitioners, and I think this is a very valuable lessons for the Islamic industry on how we can compete also going forward on the digital banking space.
Okay, now Junaid, a question for the future. What are some Islamic fintech models that are not yet explored but hold promise? Before we wrap up, I see we have a bit, 2 minutes left to this discussion.
I'll be quick.
So Junaid, yeah, it's fine. I'll give one more question, but to wrap up. But on fintech.
Yeah, so
Islamic
you know, what's interesting is the way we're approaching things is we're trying to solve every single financial product without doing any lending, right? And that's, it was considered mission impossible, but theoretically it is possible. Now, what I'm talking about is, for example, a mortgage, right? Most of debt in the economy is actually a home debt in most countries. It's, you know, buying your first home, you take a mortgage, so on and so forth. So how do you solve for a mortgage using equity, like something completely equitable? Now, models do exist where you have pure shared ownership. Now, what does that mean? That means if we have enough investors on one side looking to invest in real estate, I can invest into your house. You don't have to take a loan. It's very patient capital. So if you want to buy a house, you only have 20% of the capital put down. I will buy 80% of your house. If the value falls tomorrow, I'll fall with you. I'm an investor. I'm happy. It's diversified. So every single thing is possible with equity. We believe it. Theoretically, it is. We've seen it. That includes student loans. That includes car financing. The whole piece is possible without lending because, again, lending is risk-based. It's a for-profit business, and money lenders there's no other way to do this. The higher the risk, the higher the rate of interest or profit rate, whatever you want to call it, and the lower the risk, the lower the rate. And that creates inequality. It is without a shadow of a doubt. There have been multiple academic studies on this. Banks, by lending, create inequality, Islamic or otherwise. So we believe all of these products are possible with equity. It's never been done, but that's our job, right? It's mission impossible, it's fun, and we're doing it. So yeah, even today, we launched our equity crowdfunding in Malaysia, and our stage 3 of that is to be able to crowdsource funds to invest into people's houses. There's a huge housing crisis, even in Malaysia. So we believe that the community's money can be directly invested and everyone can share that, and inequality does not need to be created. We're, as Muslims, supposed to give zakat and help the poor. Instead, we're creating it, right, by lending for profit. So those are some really cool products we're working on. And we're almost at the end. Even the banking alternative, right? So we built our own digital bank in the UK, but theoretically speaking, it's not a bank, right? Because a bank is a money lender. So we keep all the money in assets. You pick your commodity. You want to keep it in gold, you want to keep it in assets. Here's your debit card, all the transfers in the world, IBAN number, everything. It's gorgeous, okay? Because all of our clients who were using it, inflation went 10%, everyone's struggling. Our clients did not get touched because inflation moves with money supply. And if your money is in assets and commodities, like the rich people have it, you're not going to get touched with inflation. So again, every single piece is solvable equity-wise, and that's the innovation we see.
Right. Thank you for that, Junaid. Now, one last question for all of our panelists before we wrap up today's conversation. I want to go back to Junaid, so I'll give each of our panelists about a minute or so. What are your insights for the future of Islamic fintech? What do you think investors will look forward to? And how can we come together to strengthen the ecosystem?
So the way we do things is we solve for ourselves first. We feel as Muslims we need to minimize riba, and what products would I want to use? And that's been working really well so far. Most of our growth is organic. I mean, it's insane organic growth. We're growing, 100% plus year on year organically, and that's just by being very true to our values. And I feel that we shouldn't jump to what an investor wants. It's our job as financial professionals. Alhamdulillah, we're blessed to have an education, have the resources, have the experiences, and it's our job to educate and create solutions, rather than complaining or saying everything's bad and saying inequality is increasing. So that's what we're trying to do. And I feel innovation in Islamic finance should come from the heart, right? It's a collective, community-based thing.
Nicely put. Thank you very much, Junaid. And Dr. Jasmine, how do you see in the coming years on the market demand for Sharia-compliant products? What can we look forward to?
I think, I believe that the demand will go up also because of the platform economy, the accessible services, solutions, products. I think with that demand, what we want to create is not only a marketplace that can bring all of these resources together, but also education, awareness. Malaysia has been known to have an easy entry model, easy exit model. We are able to set up something on, by the roadside. We can do all of that quite easily because we are very entrepreneurial. But how do we now take some of our collective wisdom, resources, and ensure that as a nation we drive that, especially with our products, our halal products, our solutions, and how do we now make that world-class? And that, I think, will allow us to continue to grow, not only in one solution area, but the overall Islamic digital economy. I think it is important that we bring our efforts together, not only Malaysia, not only the other countries in the region, but, the Ummah can make a difference and we can come together. And I think, as Junaid said, that, it is not just one person. We can bring our resources together. It's just a concerted effort. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jasmine. And Dima, digitalization is moving fast, and I think that's the premise that Islamic fintech is built on, besides it being a way of life as well. And now we are incorporating AI in most of the things that we're doing. How can Islamic fintech keep up with the digitalization rapid changes?
I think if we want to see Islamic finance growing sustainably going forward, I think the literacy is very important. Like, I think Islamic finance literacy is very, very low overall globally. I think I can speak for Indonesia that with 240 million Muslims that we have in Indonesia, not only on financial literacy, also in Islamic literacy, only 30% can read Quran, right? 70% couldn't read Quran, let alone talking about financial literacy in general, and especially Islamic financial literacy. So I think like all the practitioners, academicians are talking like high-level theory on how Islamic finance is good, social finance, this and that, all those things. But then at the same time, our users, like most of the users, like they don't understand what's the difference, what's the benefits, and all of these things. So I guess there should be a concerted efforts from like, I think all the stakeholders, like government players, KOLs, celebrities, ustads, and all of this to help push the message so that the average Joes would understand what are the difference, why is it important, and why the sense of riba is up there. So this needs to be conveyed in a very light approach, especially to emerging markets, big populations like Indonesia, for example. So when people start to realize that, then it's gonna be going like I think exponentially. And AI element I think is very important because while the financial literacy will take time, I think to productize that element into the app that we are working on right now will be beneficial because nowadays people without them realizing it get trapped into riba, right? Like all the BNPL and all, I'm just buying things, I'm just gonna pay in installments and all of these things, but they don't realize it's on a riba structure. So if we wanna kind of like subliminally penetrate on to fight against riba, we need to do the exact same things. This is to productize the product itself into the app, right? To their lifestyle, to the banking app. Like we're trying to introduce SNBL now, save now, buy later. It's more like ethical way to do things. And also the AI would be eventually a financial coach. So we, as a banking solution, like we can see like all the transactions and everything, and the AI can be taught and then can actually give an insight on you should actually save this way, this month because of last month or the last 3 months, your expense like this. So we're working with MIT Sloan students on putting up the framework for our AI strategy going forward, and we're gonna launch it probably towards the end of this year.
Wow, congratulations and all the best for that. So let's get everyone involved and everyone educated as well. And to close the session, Mr. Adnan, how can countries in the Southeast Asia region, in the ASEAN region, continue to become a leader in Islamic finance or Islamic fintech?
Okay, I mean, first I just wanted to acknowledge this Save Now, Buy Later. Yeah, this is the first time I'm hearing it, and it sounds like a great idea. Congratulations on that. You know, ASEAN already has in its part of the ASEAN Economic Community, the blueprint is to enhance digitalization and to enhance financial inclusion. Everything that Islamic fintech can and seeks to achieve. ASEAN itself is I mean, you know, Dima mentioned 240 million Muslims in Indonesia. Of course, ASEAN itself probably has 300. Half of the ASEAN population is probably Muslim. So the prospects is actually great among the ASEAN for Islamic finance as well as Islamic fintech. For the countries coming together, I think in this respect, if we look at global Islamic financial report, the ranking, Malaysia and Indonesia are both in there. And as leading countries in the Islamic finance space, we can work together in areas of Islamic finance, banking, as well as takaful. And often, where we try, while we can maintain different jurisdictions, different regulatory frameworks, but there's always a degree of harmonization and standardization that if we are able to achieve that, then it would be more fluid. Financial services across countries, acceptance, Sharia acceptance, product acceptance across different countries would be more fluid. And to achieve this at a global level of acceptance could be challenging, but we could start in ASEAN first. I mean, next year Malaysia is going to host ASEAN. It will be ASEAN chairman. And I think one of the agendas that probably the government will put forward is how to strengthen Islamic finance offerings, and this would include, of course, Islamic Fintech. So I think, I think we can come together. There's already various working groups that are looking at on the regulatory front, as well as in the government, that are looking at ways to really strengthen ASEAN, strengthen Malaysia, but also strengthen the region as a whole in terms of this offering. So I think our prospects are very bright. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adnan. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for all of our panelists. Thank you to Junaid, Dr. Jasmine, Dima, and also Mr. Adnan. I think a few key words that we have learned or we can take away from today's conversation is about inclusion, digitalization, talent, ESG, policies, and regulation, where a lot of these principles that are shared or applied through conventional products are in parallel or are aligned with what we believe in Islam as well. So Islamic Fintech is the way to go. It holds a lot of promise. So let's band together to propel it forward. Thank you very much again to our panelists, and thank you to everyone here at the KL20 Summit. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you. Back to you, Terence.
Thank you, Nadia. Panel, we'd like to invite you to kindly pose for a quick photograph to wrap up the session. And that was our final panel before lunch, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lunch break now, and we invite you all to reconvene in this hall if you're interested in the content served up here at the leader stage at 1:50 p.m., where our next presenter is the chairwoman and CEO of Space Faculty Private Limited, Lynette Tan of Singapore Space and Technology Association. Will be moderating the next conversation. Also, we will feature Ravina Chen, APAC CEO of Two Star, here at the Plenary Hall on the Go China Landing Program. So do kindly join us here at 1:50 p.m. for Ravina Chen's presentation. And we are looking forward to host you as well for our next panel, which will feature a conversation on solving the labor crunch with agri-tech. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your lunch. And we hope you've had a great half day so far at the KL20 Summit 2024.
Ini Isabel. Isabel kini seorang nomad digital di Asia Tenggara sebagai penganalisis data. Dengan kerjanya yang sangat fleksibel dan tidak perlu ke pejabat, Isabel gemar bekerja sambil melancong di lokasi yang lengkap dengan kemudahan digital, kos sara hidup yang rendah, selamat dan nyaman. Kini, Isabel ingin mengembara ke destinasi mesra nomad digital yang seterusnya, Malaysia. Sebuah negara yang kaya dengan pelbagai budaya, seni dan warisan. Work from Malaysia dengan mudah melalui capaian internet jalur lebar yang pantas, infrastruktur yang berkualiti, penyediaan ekosistem yang menyeluruh dan kondusif. Perkhidmatan digital yang disediakan adalah meluas dan memenuhi keperluan harian nomad digital. Memperkenalkan Di Rantau, sebuah program pemangkin di bawah inisiatif Malaysia Digital. Terokai pengalaman dan gaya hidup nomad digital di Malaysia. Melalui program Di Rantau, pelbagai keistimewaan telah disediakan seperti Pas Nomad Di Rantau. Di Rantau menawarkan pas lawatan ikhtisas PLIK kepada nomad digital warga asing bagi membenarkan para nomad tinggal sambil bekerja di Malaysia selama setahun. Hub Di Rantau, pelbagai jenis penginapan di destinasi strategik sekitar Malaysia yang memenuhi keperluan nomad digital. Ekosistem Di Rantau. Nomad digital yang berdaftar dengan Di Rantau boleh menikmati kadar dan tawaran eksklusif dalam ekosistem Di Rantau. Platform Di Rantau. Platform Di Rantau menyediakan segala maklumat terkini dan akses carian servis digital di hujung jari. Penginapan Hub Di Rantau adalah inklusif di lokasi-lokasi strategik sekitar Malaysia dan memenuhi kriteria live. Lodging. Tempat penginapan nomad dilengkapi dengan ruang kerja dan fasiliti yang selamat. Internet. Capaian internet jalur lebar yang pantas. Vibrancy of livelihood. Akses kepada pelbagai kemudahan yang tersedia untuk para nomad digital bagi gaya hidup yang aktif dan dinamik. Engagement. Membolehkan komuniti digital nomad bertemu dan berinteraksi secara produktif dengan komuniti tempatan. Kunjungi destinasi menarik sekitar Malaysia. Kejayaan rangkaian Di Rantau melibatkan penyertaan pelbagai pemain industri sebagai rakan kongsi. Program ini dijangka menyemarakkan sektor ekonomi tempatan di Malaysia seperti sektor pelancongan, pengangkutan, peruncitan, makanan dan minuman. Malaysia mengalu-alukan kedatangan nomad digital dan alamilah pengalaman work from Malaysia sambil menerokai pelbagai lokasi, budaya dan warisan yang mempesonakan. Malaysia kini beraspirasi menjadi destinasi utama hub digital pilihan nomad. Terokai pengalaman melancong sambil bekerja sebagai nomad digital di Malaysia. Layari laman web mdec.my/dirantau untuk maklumat lanjut.
Masanya telah tiba, lebarkan sayapmu, terbang kembali. Semuanya ada, 7 destinasi. Di kota atau desa, menyambut mesra, bertemu kembali. Semuanya turut serta, cuti-cuti Malaysia. Sama kita melangkah, bergembira seisi keluarga. Malaysia penuh panorama indah, berbilang budaya. Warna-warni di ibu kota, hijau gunung biru
Malaysia's digital journey began more than 2 decades ago when MSC Malaysia was set up to transform the country into a knowledge-based economy. Since then, MSC Malaysia has contributed immensely towards the growth of the nation's digital economy. Our next step is to take the digital transformation from the corridor to the world. Introducing Malaysia Digital, a strategic initiative which will empower the rakyat, businesses and foreign investments. Malaysia Digital will also elevate the participation of Malaysians and local businesses in revolutionizing the world's digital economy. Malaysia Digital opens doors for Malaysians by providing equitable access to digital tools, knowledge and income opportunities. It offers new business opportunities and growth through a supportive digital ecosystem. It also provides flexible and agile investment facilitation to make the country investment friendly. The goal is to drive the digital ecosystem and develop the digital economy to a stage where it contributes at least 25.5% of our GDP and creates 500,000 jobs by 2025.
Malaysia Digital will galvanize public-private partnerships to accelerate the growth of our digital economy and drive positive transformation that ultimately benefit the rakyat, businesses, investors, and also the whole nation.
Establishing Malaysia into a digital nation, one with more adept, stronger and resilient economy, society and governance. Stepping into tomorrow's digital future today.
Policy and productivity. You often hear the country's economic policies aimed at increasing gross domestic product, increasing exports, increasing investment, and creating high employment opportunities. These policies are also associated with improving the standards of living of the people. Are such policies appropriate or otherwise? What is your opinion? Do you often hear economic policies targeted at increasing the productivity of an industry, a state, or a country? For example, The increase in GDP, which is the national output, is less appropriate if it involves a more significant input. This means that the rate of the resulting output to input is shrinking, or simply put, productivity decreases as GDP increases. In every economic policy, the government should pay particular attention to enhancing the efficiency or productivity to convert input sources, namely labour and capital, to products and services. For example, in the manufacturing process, policies need to be directed towards improving employee skills, either upskilling or reskilling, to produce greater output while maintaining or decreasing the current input sources. Organisations need to be encouraged to innovate, especially by using technology that can help increase productivity. Reducing costs, producing better quality products and services by penetrating better markets should be prioritised. In short, policymakers need to focus on increasing productivity. The target of productivity growth for a duration should be set and monitored periodically. Compliance with regulations and the implementation of incentives that can increase productivity must be made easier. If we succeed in doing this, the high standard and quality of living that we dream of will become a reality. I am sure that you can make your organisation and Malaysia more productive. This message is brought to you by the Malaysian Productivity Corporation. The Great Reset. COVID-19 was declared the global pandemic by the World Health Organization in 2020. It has dramatically disrupted the economic sectors. Most countries recorded their gross domestic products plunged to the lowest level in decades. Meanwhile, their unemployment figures rose sharply. The government services, especially public healthcare, were stretched out to their limit in fighting the pandemic. The COVID-19 testing, treating hospitalized patients, and vaccination is becoming major healthcare activities. Other services, such as education and various regulatory delivery and enforcements, are also impacted. The governments are forced to create the stimulus to ensure people are protected. Billions of dollars of economic stimulus are pumped into the economy to avoid market failure. The World Economic Forum 2021 has urged countries should capitalize on resetting their business models during the recovery period. Professor Klaus Schwab, the founder and executive chairman of WEF, stated, "The pandemic represents a rare but narrow window opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world. Every country, including Malaysia, should reset and revive for a better and sustainable economy. The priorities for restoring and transformation are towards the new economic systems that combine productivity, people, and planet targets. They are categorized into 4 areas of action. First, reviving and transforming the enabling environment. Public institutions should embed strong governance principles, long-term vision, and delivery of public services digitally. ICT infrastructure needs to be upgraded to enable the services, and closing the digital divide are key focus areas. Second, reviving and transforming human capital, workforce reskilling and upskilling. Update education curricula and expand investment in skills for future jobs. Labour laws and social protection need to be redesigned towards the new economy. Third, reviving transforming market. Incentives should prioritise the direct financial resources towards long-term investments, strengthen stability and expand inclusion. Facilitation of the market of tomorrow, especially in public-private collaboration, should be emphasised. In addition, an agile regulatory framework to enable fourth industrial revolution must be established. Fourth, reviving and transforming the innovation ecosystem. Incentives in research, innovation and invention that can create the market of tomorrow are essential. In addition, firms should be promoted to embrace diversity, equality and inclusion to enhance creativity. Malaysia should not miss this reset and reviving opportunity to design the foundations for a productive country for future generations. This message is brought to you by Malaysia Productivity Corporation.
And now that the time has come, spread your wings and fly high, high in the sky. Everything you need and more, the place you want to be. Oh, be it the kampong or in the city, I see your smiles to greet you. Wherever you go, the time is now. Come say hello, Cuti Cuti Malaysia. Come together, you don't wanna be late. Find a laughter with the family, it's great. Full of natural beauty, Malaysia. Multicultural harmony. See the colors like the city sky. Forest greens and ocean blues, it's yours to choose. Let us sketch eternal memories. Experience the wonderment. Cultural harmony. See the colors like the city sky. Forest greens and ocean blues, it's yours to choose. Let us sketch eternal memories. Experience the wonderful. Cuti Cuti Malaysia. And now that the time has come, spread your wings and fly high, high in the sky. Everything you need and more, the place you want to be. Be in the kampong or in the city, I see your smiles to greet you. Wherever you go, the time is now. Come say hello, Cuti Cuti Malaysia. Come together, you don't wanna be late. Fun and laughter with your friends, it's great. Full of natural beauty, Malaysia. Multicultural harmony. See the colors like the city sky. Forest greens and ocean blues, it's yours to choose. Let us sketch eternal memories. Experience the wonderment.
So now the time has come, the time to spread your wings and fly high. Everything you need and more. A place that you'll adore, set from the couple to the city. I see your smile, looking so pretty. Time is now for Cuti Cuti, only in Malaysia, baby. See the colors shine vibrantly from the north to the south to the east to the west end. Great times with the best of friends. There's so much to do, you'll be impressed. Make everlasting memories all around. Natural beauty, please, and guaranteed you will never forget the stylish in Malaysia.
Come together, you could use a break. Fun and laughter with your friends, it's great. Full of natural beauty, Malaysia. Multicultural harmony. See the colors like the city sky. cuti Malaysia.
Guten Morgen. Selamat pagi.
Genggamitku kembali. Cuti Malaysia. City lights, kampung lights, you know we have it all. Sandy beaches, sun-kissed skies forevermore. Rediscovering our land and the beauty that surrounds us all. Cuti Malaysia.
Hai, ini Isabel. Isabel kini seorang nomad digital di Asia Tenggara sebagai penganalisis data. Dengan kerjanya yang sangat fleksibel dan tidak perlu ke pejabat, Isabel gemar bekerja sambil melancong di lokasi yang lengkap dengan kemudahan digital, kos sara hidup yang rendah, selamat dan nyaman. Kini, Isabel ingin mengembara ke destinasi mesra nomad digital yang seterusnya, Malaysia, sebuah negara yang kaya dengan pelbagai budaya, seni dan warisan. Work from Malaysia dengan mudah melalui capaian internet jalur lebar yang pantas, infrastruktur yang berkualiti, penyediaan ekosistem yang menyeluruh dan kondusif. Perkhidmatan digital yang disediakan adalah meluas dan memenuhi keperluan harian nomad digital. Memperkenalkan Di Rantau, sebuah program pemangkin di bawah inisiatif Malaysia Digital. Terokai pengalaman dan gaya hidup nomad digital di Malaysia. Melalui program Di Rantau, pelbagai keistimewaan telah disediakan seperti Pas Nomad Di Rantau. Di Rantau menawarkan pas lawatan ikhtisas PLIK kepada nomad digital warga asing bagi membenarkan para nomad tinggal sambil bekerja di Malaysia selama setahun. Hub Di Rantau, pelbagai jenis penginapan di destinasi strategik sekitar Malaysia yang memenuhi keperluan nomad digital. Ekosistem Di Rantau. Nomad digital yang berdaftar dengan Di Rantau boleh menikmati kadar dan tawaran eksklusif dalam ekosistem Di Rantau. Platform Di Rantau. Platform Di Rantau menyediakan segala maklumat terkini dan akses carian servis digital di hujung jari. Penginapan Hub Di Rantau adalah inklusif di lokasi-lokasi strategik sekitar Malaysia dan memenuhi kriteria live. Lodging. Tempat penginapan nomad dilengkapi dengan ruang kerja dan fasiliti yang selamat. Internet. Capaian internet jalur lebar yang pantas. Vibrancy of livelihood. Akses kepada pelbagai kemudahan yang tersedia untuk para nomad digital bagi gaya hidup yang aktif dan dinamik. Engagement. Membolehkan komuniti digital nomad bertemu dan berinteraksi secara produktif dengan komuniti tempatan. Kunjungi destinasi menarik sekitar Malaysia. Kejayaan rangkaian Di Rantau melibatkan penyertaan pelbagai pemain industri sebagai rakan kongsi. Program ini dijangka menyemarakkan sektor ekonomi tempatan di Malaysia seperti sektor pelancongan, pengangkutan, peruncitan, makanan dan minuman. Malaysia mengalu-alukan kedatangan nomad digital dan alamilah pengalaman work from Malaysia sambil menerokai pelbagai lokasi, budaya dan warisan yang mempesonakan. Malaysia kini beraspirasi menjadi destinasi utama hub digital pilihan nomad. Terokai pengalaman melancong sambil bekerja sebagai nomad digital di Malaysia. Layari laman web mdac.my/dirantau untuk maklumat lanjut.
Masanya telah tiba, lebarkan sayapmu, terbang kembali. Malaysia penuh panorama indah, berbilang budaya, warna-warni di ibu kota, hijau gunung biru luas lautan, langkahkan memori bersama, terokai keindahan. Sama-sama kita melangkah, bergembira seisi keluarga, Malaysia penuh panorama indah, berbilang budaya, warna-warni di ibu kota, hijau gunung biru luas lautan, langkahkan memori bersama, terokai keindahan, cuti-cuti Malaysia.
Malaysia's digital journey began more than 2 decades ago when MSC Malaysia was set up to transform the country into a knowledge-based economy. Since then, MSC Malaysia has contributed immensely towards the growth of the nation's digital economy. Our next step is to take the digital transformation from the corridor to the world. Introducing Malaysia Digital, a strategic initiative which will empower the rakyat, businesses and foreign investments. Malaysia Digital will also elevate the participation of Malaysians and local businesses in revolutionizing the world's digital economy. Malaysia Digital opens doors for Malaysians by providing equitable access to digital tools, knowledge and income opportunities. It offers new business opportunities and growth through a supportive digital ecosystem. It also provides flexible and agile investment facilitation to make the country investment friendly. The goal is to drive the digital ecosystem and develop the digital economy to a stage where it contributes at least 25.5% of our GDP and creates 500,000 jobs by 2025.
Malaysia Digital will galvanize public-private partnerships to accelerate the growth of our digital economy and drive positive transformation that ultimately benefit the rakyat, businesses, investors, and also the whole nation.
Establishing Malaysia into a digital nation, one with more adept, stronger and resilient economy, society and governance. Stepping into tomorrow's digital future today.